Hello, beautiful. Welcome, welcome, welcome. This video, I feel like I've been procrastinating recording, and now is just the perfect time to record it. So I'm happy to be here to share with you guys a little bit of my experience, what has helped me, what really hasn't helped me with healing heartbreak and navigating through it and being with it and being with grief and all of the stages that people mention about heartbreak is quite true. It's quite true. It's very much also intermingled with so many different wounds that we may have a lot of the time when we go through a heartbreak, other wounds from our childhood, from other relationships, from, just experiences in general will arise. It's like the perfect opening, the crack open of our heart is really what's happening here, right? Heartbreak. So we could see it as I'm broken, like I am, shattered. And for me, that's definitely how I felt. But being on the other side of it, it's been a year since I broke up with someone that I really, really loved, that I saw myself having this entire future with. I basically felt like I got the ground pulled from underneath me so fast, and I didn't have any warning. But I can't really say that because my intuition, in a sense, knew what was happening and knew what was coming. And I just really wanted this very specific way of living and being that I was ignoring what you could call the more negative or the more realist part of me that was really seeing what was actually going on. So really what's happening here from being on the other side is seeing that there's a level of freedom. Like, I am sitting here in front of all of you and I feel free. I feel complete. I feel in a deeper love with myself than I ever have before. I have deeper relationships, a deeper intimacy than I ever have before, deeper ability to be intimate, to share my boundaries, to express my emotions in front of family, friends, and other people, and just such a more grounded and embodied version of myself. And this is because I allowed myself to go through this heartbreak without distracting myself. It was so easy at first when we broke up, me and my past partner, to allow myself to dip really low. So this is one thing that I want to share with you guys that is really, really important, something that you should not do. Please take care of yourself. Please take care of your body. The first thing to go is like water and nutrition and food and getting out and feeling the sun, right? The first thing to go is like being in your bed and just like not wanting to get out. This could be very different for you if you're going through this. Maybe you're someone that like had to get out, had to be with people, but I was pretty used to being alone as is. I just always had that like thought in the back of my head, like, okay, what can I do for him? Okay, let me make sure everything's good. And all of these like, things that I thought were normal being in a partnership and in a relationship. So really don't neglect your body. That's what I want to say. Don't neglect your body, because it is trying to keep you alive and it's trying to allow you to survive through this. Heartbreak really is one of the toughest, and this is like, I truly do believe this, having been through it, it's one of the toughest things you can go through in life. Grief is one of the toughest things that you could go through in life. Loss, this is all in the same realm as being heartbroken and experiencing the grief of breaking up with and losing a loved one and a best friend as well. So really apply this to anything, but take care of your body. Please drink a lot of water. Don't be like me and stay in bed all the time and just drown yourself in videos, because it's literally what I did. I was having such a hard time. I was literally crying all the time. And at some point I got tired of crying. I was like, I'm done. Like, I'm tired of crying. I don't want to do this anymore. And I would just like turn on gaming gaming streams like on Twitch or on YouTube, and it was nice because there was a community there that like was with me and I could comment every now and then, but it was nice to know that people were watching with me. And I think that's why I stayed on there for a really long time. But over time, having like not fully allowed myself to take care of myself in the way that I normally did, like it was like cold turkey kind of like going into this place and still trying to manage, you know, running a YouTube channel and all of the other things that I wanted to do with my business and with work and family, all the things. I was like, really, there was no self-care except for just allowing myself to cry and just going outside. And literally in my journals, I would look back and just see so many entries of me just really trying to heal so that we could heal together, so that we could grow together. I had a lot of denial, and a lot of people say like this is one of those stages of grief, is like that denial. And I definitely had that. It wasn't so much like a denial about what was happening, but it was a denial of the reality that I knew within my heart and within my soul and my intuition. I was completely just letting it go. So really being honest with myself was the biggest thing that I learned, as well as, you know, taking care of my body as much as I can so that my hormones and my energy levels could be higher so that I could experience more high vibrational emotions, right? I could experience the energy to actually get up and do things, that I wouldn't have such super low dips when I was going on my period, of my hormones, which really just like skyrocketed how I was feeling. It was affecting me so deeply, like my gut and my brain, everything was so deeply connected. I actually ended up hiring a healing coach and a nutritional therapist to actually help me, because I was like, I need someone to hold space for me, like, and I didn't really realize how deeply wounded my body was feeling and was taking all of this pain. And I was even feeling like I was taking some of it from my past partner as well, like taking some of his pain and trying to process it so that I could get what I wanted back, because I felt like I couldn't survive without it. I literally felt like I couldn't survive without it. I would not admit it. I want to say I would not admit it out loud, and like, you know, being a spiritual coach and everything, I would not admit it at all. However, that was true. Like my body, my being, my inner child thought like, oh, this is the one person that you have. I wasn't nurturing and nourishing a lot of other relationships, so this was like my person, and I completely lost that, and it felt like it happened really fast. So I have some notes here that I want to make sure that I get to, because I wrote this down like a little while ago. But overall, like, you can't skip the process of heartbreak and you can't skip the process of grief. So trying to, you know, say like what I was saying about being done with crying, like being done with it, wanting to be done with it, it doesn't work like that. It really is a moment-to-moment type of healing situation. It really takes us taking it, you know, awareness by awareness, little note by note, feeling by feeling, minute by minute sometimes, and not trying to necessarily plan for the future. It was really hard for me to see what that future looked like without him and without what I had envisioned for us and for me in my business and relationship with him. So really, instead of trying to repaint this picture, really being present as much as you can, and this can feel really painful. I was reading the preface of this book called, I believe it's From Abandonment to Healing, and this was a book that was recommended from a course that I actually took during like maybe a month or so after we broke up, called Healing from Heartbreak, and this is from Rising Woman. And I'll actually link all this stuff down below so that you guys can check it out as well if you're going through this, because I know how hard it is, and it's really important that we have support, and not only support from our family and friends, because that support may be biased, it may be, you know, they have their own opinions, right? There's a right and wrong to everything, but really at the end of the day, this right and wrong is not necessarily us, right? We're really tuning into like what is true for us, what actually feels good, not what is right to do, or don't do this because this happened and you can't, all of these things. And everything I'm sharing with you right now, like take it or leave it, take what resonates, leave what doesn't. All relationships are just so intermingled and so intertwined and so special that you can't necessarily, say that there's a right and wrong for anything, because everyone makes sense. Honestly, this is like something my coach was telling me. She was like, everyone, like there's not one person that doesn't make sense in what they do and the choices that they make. And that was just something that I've been realizing, especially like up until this point, like seeing that I really want to honor the truth within myself and not necessarily what is right and wrong, because the right and wrong doesn't come from my heart. It doesn't come from my soul. So knowing that you really being able to hold yourself in the present as much as you can and create structures and little tools around you that can actually help you with beginning to allow the healing to actually happen. Because in order for the healing to happen, we need to go inside. That's literally the only way. We get to go inward. We can't necessarily look outside for someone to replace them or to fill the hole that we're feeling, or to paste up the brokenness that we have inside. And when we do that, it really does prolong the healing, and we can start to see patterns come up. We can start to, there's just so many things that can come up. And this wasn't something that I felt called to do, but at times I would be like, oh, it would be so much easier if I just had, someone to be there for me and to tell me that I'm beautiful and to just like sit with me and to learn about me and to listen to me and to just have that presence once again, that masculine presence that like I really also missed. But at the end of the day, I really just needed to go inside, and being able to always have my journal nearby. I always had my journal with me. No matter where I went, I was really honest with my family and how I was feeling. And this can be really hard if you're like living with roommates or friends and you're not really like emotionally open or intimate or vulnerable with them. Like just letting them know that like you're going through something, and that like if you need a lot of time alone, to really give it to you. Because for me, definitely I needed a lot of time alone. I didn't want anyone else's opinions and ideas to be in my head, because as soon as they were, I was like rethinking everything, and I was like, oh, maybe this is not really what I thought. And there's just so many stories that are brought up to the surface when we are experiencing heartbreak, because a part of us wants to survive. A part of us wants to bring what we have lost back, and we start to look in different areas and how we can do that. And for me personally, I started the healing thinking that, and coming from this place of, okay, I'm going to heal so that I can assist him in healing, and so that we can grow and heal together. And we were broken up, right? Total denial. I was healing for all the wrong reasons, and it took me some time and some reflection with like coaches and sisterhood to really see that I was holding myself back from actually loving myself even deeper, actually recognizing that I am enough. And that was like a massive belief that came up when we did break up, was that idea that like, oh, was I not enough? Did I not do enough? Was I not good? Like, oh, it's not about, and then, it was like, it's not about you. But at the end of the day, like, that's how I felt. I felt like in the back of my head, my subconscious, my inner child was like, oh my gosh, like there's something wrong with me because this person won't stay, because this person isn't choosing me, right? This person isn't choosing me. So I was like searching for all the places that I could begin healing to maybe prove to my past partner that I, was enough and could take care of him and could be a better girlfriend overall. And that was just not the approach to go about it. So first things first, Yes, be present, allow what's coming up, allow what you're feeling, know that it is really tough, and it's okay to know that it's difficult, and to know that like it may take a long time, it may not take a long time, it may relapse every once in a while, this feeling of heartbreak. But the more present that you can be with it, the more intentional with how you take care of yourself that you can be, the more love that you can give to yourself, and compassion for the experience at all, and not thinking that you need to be in any certain place, or people will be like, it took me like 3 months to get over this, and then expecting yourself to get over and your heartbreak in 3 months. Like, that's not reality for a lot of people. It really isn't. It could take just a couple weeks, it could take years, who knows how long, but it doesn't really matter. So really letting go of the time frame of how you are going to move on and find clarity in all of these things when it comes to navigating this heartbreak overall. So really being with your emotions, being with how you're feeling, tuning into like where it may be coming from. And a lot of the time what I notice, like instead of really diving deep a lot of the time, because I would be sad a lot of the time, I would be angry. There was a lot of rage that I would experience. I'd feel confused and just like totally disoriented in my emotions and how I was feeling. And the more that I was with them, it was really validating to recognize that, okay, I'm going through something that is huge. Like, this is a huge thing that people go through in their lives, and it doesn't matter how long you've been with someone for it to affect you in this way, to really like feel like physical pain in your heart and in your body, right? It was physically painful and emotionally painful. It was just, the crying was just so painful. And recognizing that it is painful and this is huge what we're going through was really validating, to be like, hey, like, other people have been through this. Like, I've been through this. If you're going through it, like, I've been there and I'm here. I'm alive and I feel free. And it's really just a part of the process of mending and opening ourselves up. When we've opened ourselves up to a person so deeply and we experience a separation and a loss with them, it's huge. It's so huge. It's like a part of us is leaving. And then what we get to find is more authenticity within ourselves, more love within ourselves, so that we can create this more stable foundation of who we are. And this is what this opportunity brings us, setting things in place to help you, to help you take care of you. So like I said, having a journal nearby, always having water filled up. I have like this big jug now of water, so maybe getting like a big jug of water, always having it nearby so you can stay hydrated. Tuning into how maybe whoever you're living with can start making meals and helping you out as far as food, because sometimes that can be a little tough to just get up and do these things. Having your yoga mat, if you do yoga, just laid out anywhere can be really helpful. So that way you don't have to physically roll it out. You can just kind of roll on your mat and be there, be present. Whatever makes you feel supported. If that's certain elements, if that's being outside, like write down a little list in your journal of things that actually support you in taking care of yourself, that support your energy, that support your well-being, and support a higher perspective. Okay, so set those things in place, recognize what they are, and see if you can get accountability and some support from whoever may be around you, or even if it's just a friend or someone online that can like text you and remind you, maybe a timer or something on your phone. But it's a lot easier if someone like actually calls, and if it's something that, you know, is actually gonna make you move and get up. And the other thing that I mentioned, really going inward. So taking time to journal, taking time to reflect, like this is the perfect time for you to really dive deep and look for deeper support. So if there's any way that you can invest in support outside of your friends and family, I highly suggest it. Highly suggest it, so that we're not supporting any stories that may be running in your head that aren't authentic to you, that aren't truthful to you, and that you're following your wisdom. You're following what you need right now, and not what other people say is right, or what society says is right. Okay, so really tuning into someone that you trust, or even if it's just like for a few weeks to like just talk to someone and talk things out and let them reflect it back to you, is really helpful. This is going to be huge. This really does accelerate the process of healing. I feel like when we have someone to reflect things back to us and to just support us in whatever's going on. I was really lucky to work with a coach, and I'm continuing to kind of work with coaches as well up until this point. But yeah, it's so needed and so helpful. Or even just communities that are maybe going through the same thing, going through loss or grief or heartbreak, and just groups that you may be able to join that could be supportive to you during this time, and where people understand it. It's hard to try and go through this and ignore what's going on. That was definitely something that I did for a little while. I was like trying to be cool with everything and be like, oh no, like I'm chill, it's everything. No, it's not fine. And eventually that like prolonged the process of me actually allowing things to come up and allowing them to be processed the way that they needed to be processed. But overall, I want to let you know that there is so much medicine in this healing. In heartbreak, there's so much medicine and wisdom that comes out of our hearts from this experience. And the more that we can allow ourselves to gain a little bit more perspective and observe a little bit more, to maybe even imagine ourselves as our soul or a higher self every now and then, to call in our angels and our support teams, our spirit guides, to be here to kind of help us figure out what's going on. Or maybe just your body, like asking your body like questions, asking yourself questions, and just gaining that perspective. I know that being out in nature, like always, was really helpful for me. And during that time, I really connected a lot deeper with the wind. I was like, the wind was always coming up. The air element was always coming up whenever I would get any Reiki sessions or readings. It was like, connect with the wind, connect with the wind. And I was like, okay, like I'm here with the wind. Like, what do you want from me? And now at this point, here and now, having really been with the wind and experienced the windy days and experienced the birds, and to really listen to them presently, like fully presently listen to them, was huge. It was so helpful in allowing me to surrender to the flow of life, to what was happening, and to begin to gain a little bit more ease and peace in what was happening, and trusting that, like, even if it feels terrible, even if it feels wrong, or even if someone did, a wrongdoing to you, like, all of it is a part of nature. All of it is sacred, and all of it did really happen for a reason. So the fact that we get to recognize that, okay, yes, this sucks and it hurts, but at the end of it, we're going to look back and be so proud of ourselves for having gone through this, for having pulled out all of this love and this devotion and this medicine, and have poured so much of it into ourselves that we've created a stable, beautiful, loving ground of compassion and authenticity to our being. There's a lesson always within any time that we break up with someone or experience this heartbreak in some way. It really is such a divine process. It's painful as a human being. Painful, but it's a divine process for sure. And I also wrote down, there's a lot of insight into ourselves through this process. So we get to really recognize the stories that are coming up, the attachments, our needs, any expectations, wounds, desires, and our relationship with emotions. Like, do we actually allow ourselves to cry fully when we need to cry, and to let things through, and to get ourselves out there when we need to get out there? and just so much more about ourselves. So another thing that I want to mention is missing them. So if you experience missing them a lot, which you probably will, I experienced this a whole lot, but more so like later on when I felt like I was finally, moving on. And this was interesting because it would come up and I would just miss the friendship. I would miss his presence. And it was just like hard to think that like I couldn't just reach out without knowing that there wasn't closure or what have you. And when it comes to missing people, we're really just missing an aspect of ourselves. So really take that in. It's this acceptance that like there's a part of us that feels misaligned. There's a part of us that doesn't feel whole in that moment, and recognizing that we're always whole. So if we start looking outside of ourselves, we'll think that we're not whole. So when we start to miss someone, this is an opportunity for us to really tune into like, what do you miss? What specifically do you miss? And for me, it was that beingness, that presence, his ability to just be with me. And it was just so easy. And I realized that I wasn't fully being present with myself, and my inner child would reflect this back to me when I was like checking in with her and being in meditation with her. She would just like, it was so cute and so sad because through this whole process, like I've had to really relearn how to be deeply, deeply present. And it's definitely been a process and it's still a practice. So recognizing that all of this that we're going through and whatever it is that we're healing, specifically our wounds, attachments, needs, relationships, what have you, within ourselves, stories, reprogramming, and beliefs, it's really, really a practice. So not expecting yourself to have it all together, not expecting yourself to have it all figured out and to be moved on and be okay with all of these things. Like, no, that's okay. And when it comes to closure was huge for me. I wanted it so bad that we actually stayed in contact for months after we had broken up. And we were talking about like the things that, we were basically working through things individually while talking together. So it wasn't very, it wasn't really healthy at the end of the day. Like, we both kind of agreed like that wasn't really healthy for us. So when people say like, don't text your ex, it's really true. And I learned this because I was like, oh no, like I'm not like that. Like we're not like that. We have something deeper. You think you're an exception for some things, but no, like it seemed helpful at the time, but that was during the time when my intentions weren't really clear. Like I still wanted to grow with him. I wanted to show him that this was possible and to help him as much as I could instead of just helping myself. So really, honestly, pouring that into myself first would have been really, really nice. But obviously all of this happened for a reason. And I'm here to share with you that it's good advice. It really is good advice to not call and text your ex. Like, yes, work things out, but notice and become like really aware of where you're coming from first. So take that space. Okay, take that space. It's gonna suck and it's gonna feel terrible, but honestly, it feels worse after having spoken for a while anyway, and like having to stop and start like, talking and not talking. Like just keep it simple for yourself and don't talk to him for a little while. Give yourself as much space as you can. And remember, take what resonates, leave what doesn't. Maybe you're in a space where you can talk to them, but just really recognizing your patterns within the relationship that you may have after the breakup. Okay, really being aware of that and aware of what part of you may have been attached and may have been, holding this person in your heart so deeply. And this is really important, super, super important. So recognizing those patterns before deciding, whether or not you're going to continue talking to them is huge. It's going to help them. It's going to help you. It's honestly going to help everybody in the long run overall. And honestly, if someone breaks up with you, that's closure. If someone leaves you, that's closure. If someone had the thought, to break up with you, that's closure. Why would you need to fight that? And for me, it was I fought it. I didn't think that like that was a nervous system response for me, but I really did. I was like, okay, I accept it. And then I would be fighting it, and then I accept it, and then I would be fighting it. And yeah, recognizing how your nervous system is feeling through the process as well. But if they leave, that's your closure right there. Like, obviously that's been something they've been thinking about for a while. Or if you're someone that broke up with them, then tune into you. You made the decision. Tune into you. Tune into you as much as you can. I will tell you this, that I did not have clarity. I did not necessarily have the closure that I was looking for. And even though like all of these words that I would be hearing from him and everything, like it was never enough. It didn't make sense. I wasn't allowing myself to receive it and to accept it. And because I always thought, like, in the back of my head, here's the story that could happen, and I'm gonna hold on to it as much as I can. And the holding on is so destructive to ourselves, to hold on to this story and this idea. When we experience heartbreak, when we're going through loss, this is an opportunity to drop so deep into trust and surrender than ever before. Trust and surrender in yourself, trust and surrender in the divine plan, God, source, oneness, whatever it is that you believe in, trusting that this is happening for a reason and that you don't have to have it figured out. You don't have to have some kind of story of how you can get back together or what have you, or you know what the story may be, because holding on to hope was one of the hardest things for me to get over. It really, really was. The hardest thing for me to get over was that hope that he would change his mind, that he would be willing to grow with me and to do all of this together. And I knew within my being what I was feeling wasn't right, and that us being together wasn't right, and yet still I was fighting it. So yeah, do yourself a favor and trust, really find a way to drop into trusting that this release is happening for a reason, and trust that if you're meant to be together, you will come back together. You will find there will be an alignment when it happens. You can trust that your soul, that this other soul has this figured out, has this this divine plan for the both of you, for this evolution and this growing that we're going through. This is a healing process. This is really such a massive catalyst for our own healing. So I was able to, after so many months of trying to gain closure from, trying to create clarity, to actually allowing myself to surrender and trust was all that I needed to move on, was all the closure and the clarity that I needed, was to realize that, okay, I can choose me. I don't need to be chosen. I can choose me, and I can allow myself to trust that whatever will happen, but I want to have my back. And that was huge, like being able to have my back. Because who's going to have your back? You just broken up with, or you just broke up with someone. Who's going to have your back? You got to have your back. You're going to have, hopefully friends and family and stuff like that, but like you really got to have your back. Especially being with someone that you love so much and you've opened your heart up to. So that closure is in the breakup. That's it. It's over. It really is over from there. Now we get to see and experience and surrender to what the rest of the path has for us. And allowing ourselves to go in, we create our own clarity that allows us to move on from a space of openness to be more receptive. Because the more that we're holding on, the more that we're creating this resistance, we're creating a closed off energy. Right? And this was such a big opportunity for me not to close off. I've had that experience before, losing things that I loved in my life, and I shut down. So it can be really easy to just shut down completely. And I started to do that. And that's why my body was shutting down and I had to go to the hospital and all of these things, right? I'm telling you all this to hopefully so you can avoid it and see that like really opening was the best thing that I could do for myself. Opening was the answer. Opening. Allow this to be a crack open. This heartbreak is a cracking open, a rebirth, a phase within your life that is really just bringing you deeper into remembrance of you, of your love, on your own, your power on your own. And it can feel really tough. And I know, I really, really do know. I know. But overall, I put, don't try to get over it. Don't try to move on. Allow the process, really, really allow the process, and continue to set up those structures to assist you in helping you get up and rise in the morning and take care of yourself and make you feel good. Start doing things for yourself. Start going out and being alone in places that feel good to you. Start being with friends that can, hold space for you. Honestly, be with friends that can hold space for you, not friends that are going to ignore the fact that you're going through something, Really be with people that feel good. If you need to talk, be with people that can talk to you about things and not, be super biased about the whole thing, or just be with people that don't talk. And maybe that's enough. And I know there's definitely a balance in that for sure. So really, if you're still looking for closure, ask yourself why. Look within and ask yourself, why are you looking for that closure? What is it going to offer you? Really tune in, because there's just so much medicine. There's so much here for you. There's so many teachings here for you that are just in your heart. They're literally just living inside of your heart. So really tune into you. Tune into you as much as you can. Allow yourself to be where you are in this moment. If you're crying a lot, that's the phase you're in, and don't feel like there's any time limit. Don't put a time on any of this. Please, for goodness sakes, please don't put a time on any of this. This is literally all a part of the divine plan. It's all a part of divine timing. So being present with yourself and what you're going through is going to be the best thing for you. Practice this opening, practice this love and this care of taking care of your basic needs first and foremost. And really, if you need a space to be a reflection, to have things reflected back to you, to be held, be in those spaces. It's gonna feel really strange if you're not used to being intimate in spaces like that at first, but recognizing that you're safe. You're safe, and really finding those spaces that actually feel good to you. Not all spaces are gonna feel super safe and comfortable and all of these things. So really take the time that you need to find people that you actually resonate with, that are gonna be there for you, that may have gone through similar experiences as well. So yeah, just to reiterate, hope and contact are things that I wish I didn't hold on to so much. And also just remembering that there's no cause or solution for any of this. This is literally a healing process. It's a path, and we're meant to kind of be dropped into the unknown waters here. So don't expect yourself to know it all right away. And if you feel like tune into that, and then be present with everything that may be coming out to be released, coming out to be seen and witnessed and really healed during this time. And yeah, we're really literally going through withdrawals. We're literally going through withdrawals, especially in the beginning of heartbreak, like you're with someone for so long, or every single day you talk to them or you see them, or you're used to having their presence there, you're used to having a level of connection, and when that is gone, it's like a part of us doesn't know how to belong. And this is just one of the biggest things that we need as human beings. And when we can allow ourselves to fill that hole, fill that part of us that feels like we need others to belong, it's powerful. It's so powerful. And because you're going through this, because you're going through a breakup, because you are experiencing heartbreak or loss and grief in some shape or form, you are meant and you are strong enough to do this for yourself. You are so strong enough. You are so strong enough. Just be with it. I love you. I actually have some messages that came in. I asked people on Instagram a while back, and just to see what their advice would be and maybe just what their experience is. So I'm just going to read them out. Sometimes you are just catalysts for each other, and that's okay. That's love too. Yeah, the love doesn't just disappear. And even if it feels like it does disappear, or if they fell out of love, or if you fell out of love, or whatever, like, there was still love there, and this was still a point of expansion for you, even though it feels like a point of just being shattered and dropped on the ground. I communicated to my partner at the time that it would be best for me to leave the relationship because we are both pushing and pulling each other with too many expectations. Feel that? Even though the outcome of that person was negative, I felt stronger enough to leave, and I gained a lot of strength and hope from it all. It wasn't easy, and I only wish the best for everyone. Now I'm in a relationship where there are no expectations, and it is only true love and support from here on out. Yeah, you get to create your reality from this point. Like, what is that love that you're looking for? What does that relationship look like moving forward? You know, we're not looking for the same thing if we're feeling heartbroken, right? We're looking for something that feels authentic, that feels true and honest and loving for us. And yeah, I wanted to do the right thing. I had to leave a relationship that was unhealthy, and you can still experience heartbreak in unhealthy relationships. I mean, this is where the healing is, right? This is where the healing is. Don't judge yourself for how you may be feeling, how you may be going through it, what thoughts may be coming up in your head. We felt it. You are not alone. You are definitely not alone. There's a huge, massive support here around this area of heartbreak, and I'm just really honored to be filming this video. Self-love is everything. Breakups are meant to lead us back home. Yes, they are. We create a home in this person, and now it's like, oh wait, I'm home. I need to be home for myself. And yeah, it just shows us like how deeply we've loved when we're so heartbroken. And you know, like, honor yourself for that. Honor yourself by being present with everything, I feel like it forces us to evolve versus gentle growth. It does. It's that catalyst. It's really like, all right, here we go. We've set all of this up, and now they're going to see everything in their own divine time. You're going to see everything, right? And you get to be gentle with yourself in that process, and that creates a deeper love for yourself. You get to be gentle, hold compassion, hold forgiveness for yourself, really practice what that feels like, and don't force yourself to be anywhere that you don't feel like you can be. If you feel like you can't forgive right away, fine, right? Whether it's forgiving yourself or the other person, that's okay. Give it time. Give it time. Recognize like, okay, forgiveness is what I need right now, or, you know, gentleness and compassion is what I need right now. Letting go is what I need right now. Now be gentle in that process. Ask for assistance. Say, okay, I choose to let go, and allow what arises from that space of intention. All right, and the last one I have here is, when my marriage died, it took me with it. But from the ashes, I rose again, a new man. Yeah, we can really lose ourselves in the process. And like I said, like, really getting super aware of yourself, observing, grabbing that support, having people to remind you of who you are and the love and the beauty that you are, because you were able to love so much that your heart got cracked open, and the universe, God's spirit, is here to just allow your opening to wrap around you so that you feel home, so that you feel whole, and so that everything that is meant to happen from this space on your path is going to happen. Okay, you have nothing to worry about. You know, we don't have control here. So we get to surrender to a greater power. We get to surrender to the holding of Mother Earth, the holding of Spirit, God, Source, the holding of our hearts and our soul in this process, the holding of others, right? We get to be held, and we get to hold ourselves, our inner child, all aspects of our being. So I hope this helped give you a little bit more perspective on what may be happening for you if you've experienced heartbreak, if you're experiencing it, or if you're just curious and you're here still watching. I really appreciate you. This was definitely one of the hardest years of my life, and I can happily say that I'm happy. Like I feel moved on. I feel I've grown, and I'm just excited for what's to come. Feeling and looking back and just celebrating myself for all the little triumphs and the little things of just like not feeling emotionally charged in certain situations. When I mention things and talk about this type of stuff, like I'm able to smile instead of cry. I know that maybe a couple months ago it would have been a different story. Like I probably would have been crying. So thank you guys so much for being here. I love you so much. If you would like any more videos like this, please do let me know. I'm sure there's a lot more that I could share with you guys, more specifically on things that you may be going through, but trust in the process, shower yourself with love, nourish yourself as much as you can, create some structures to help you do that. And I wish I could just sit with you forever and just give you a big hug and just be with you. So just taking a deep breath in and out. And thank you so much for being you, for allowing your soul to go through this evolution, allowing your human to experience all the spectrums of emotions and pain and pleasure during this time. I love you, I love you, I love you. You got this. We're here with you. Sending you so much love. Feel free to comment all of the things in the comments down below. And yeah, I'll see you guys in another video.